Dave, I'm going to begin by asking, I mean, this is a fascinating premise and a great concept to know.
Yeah.
But it feels like a film that could have gone either way. I was wondering if you had apprehensions at first and what it was that initially sold it to you.
That's a very good question. I did have apprehensions, as I do about pretty much everything I'm about to sign on to. I read the script, and I liked that there was some original ideas, and the concept felt fresh. That being said, in the wrong hands, this movie could have been cheesy, and it could have felt like all these other teen movies that we've seen in the past. But I sat down with the directors, and these are the guys who did the documentary Catfish, and I could immediately tell that they had really great taste and that they were going to make the best version of this movie possible. And now that I've seen the final product, like, I'm so happy with it. And there's a lot of things that they did in post-production that I couldn't have anticipated, like the way they put the graphics on the screen, you know, and the music that they chose, and the way they edited it where it feels like the pace never lets up, and the way they like do a split screen and they kind of cut to different types of cameras. It almost feels like a Danny Boyle movie in that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, last time we met, you spoke about how you have kind of ambitions and aspirations to direct as well.
Yes.
Do you find yourself, as the further along in your career you go, you pay more attention to those little details?
100%, 100%. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to any of the directors that I've worked with in the last few years, they might say that I'm even slightly annoying about it, where I am very curious, and I'll ask them a lot of questions, and I'll look at their shots that they're setting up, and again, I might be in their ear a little too much, but I'm fascinated by it because I want to learn from these guys.
One of my favourite things about your character in this movie is I had no idea if I trusted him for at least kind of two-thirds of the film.
I'm glad to hear that.
When you read the screenplay for the first time, when you got to the kind of halfway point, did you trust him?
I don't remember. I don't quite remember, but that is the most interesting thing about the character, is that you don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, and you don't know what his intentions are. And that's, as an actor, you know, that's a tough and fun thing to play. But ultimately, what I was thinking about when I was playing the character is I didn't want him to fall into the archetype of what you might think from this character in a young adult movie. And I think the archetype is the guy who's very brooding and he takes himself really seriously, and we've seen that before. It's boring. And so the directors kind of let me bring a lot of my own personality into it, and so he's a little bit lighter and he can make fun of himself, and you see that right off the bat where he's, you know, dancing on the tables and singing his heart out, even though he's not a good singer.
Even though this film is, I mean, it's really good fun and sort of offers a real sort of pure sense of entertainment, it's actually kind of got quite a lot to say about society.
Yes.
I mean, not just the kind of this faux sense of kind of online notoriety that we get, but just the way we share content and the kind of immediacy of the internet. Was that one of the appeals to you as well, that it's really quite kind of, it's a very kind of relevant story?
Definitely. And I think that's what makes it scary. It's like, you know, it's a huge commentary on how people are a lot more willing to put themselves in danger to get more likes or more views across their social media platforms. And then on top of that, there are themes about how people are also more willing to be cruel to each other when you're hiding behind a computer screen as opposed to being face to face. And it's just something that everyone can relate to, you know. I think the movie, the main demographic is still a little bit younger, but I think because of the fact that we're all obsessed with social media, I think everyone can take something from it.
And you're right about one of the messages being the kind of the culpability of online trolls. You think that you're just kind of watching, but you're involved. Have you ever had any problems with online trolls in the past?
No, and the reason is because I'm not on social media, and that's like, I want to stay away because of these people. Like, I don't want to invite that kind of negativity into my life on a daily basis. Like, I know I'm the type of person that if I happen to read something really negative about myself that some asshole out there maybe doesn't even mean, he's just trying to like get a rise out of me, it would affect me. That would stay with me, and so I just stay away. And
it's always the smallest. It's never the bad insults. What someone once just called me an idiot, and that was the worst. I was like, an idiot?
Exactly. And how long ago was this?
It was like 2 years ago.
And then, talking about it 2 years later.
But then someone replied on the same review and said, I think it's a really well-written review. And I was telling my parents about it. And it turns out my auntie left a comment. So I thought there was someone out there who liked me.
That's good.
Does it ever frustrate you now, though, with the way we kind of share content? That do you ever you feel like you can't just do kind of dumb shit now? Because everyone can kind of send it. You can't just, I don't know, not that you would just run around the streets of London naked, but if you were to, actually, to be fair, if I did that, it'd be shared. But you know, I mean, that idea that you can't just do stuff.
I think about that, and I think about how I was lucky that I grew up in a time where not everyone had a camera on their phone, like when I was going through high school and college. And yeah, I wouldn't have done as many crazy things, and I think that's part of growing up. You're supposed to do stupid things. And now I'm not a risk taker at all, and maybe part of it subconsciously is because I know someone's gonna record me doing these dumb things, and it's gonna be everywhere.
Well, I'm about to go on a slide and it's going to be recorded, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite for it. But I was wondering, in regards to Emma, I mean, you did a music video with her a few years ago. But now you're working with her, this is the first time since then. Does that give you this kind of benefit where you're able to look back and think, look what I've achieved over these kind of 6 or 7 years?
Interesting. Maybe. I mean, I guess that music video isn't necessarily like the benchmark where I'm like, look how much I've done since then. But looking back in general, like, yes, I do feel extremely fortunate to be where I am and to not only be working, but to be working on movies that I love and that I'm passionate about. And I know, again, like, that's very amazing that I can say that, and I don't take that for granted. And I hope it continues, because I know how fleeting everything is in this business, where you could be working all day, every day for years, and then all of a sudden you have 2 movies that come out that happen to flop at the box office, and you got to start again at square one. So I'm just trying to keep my head down and do the best work I can, and hopefully it continues.
So just finally, I mean, Zeroville is one coming out, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Of course, that you're directed by your brother in that instance. What's it like, kind of being directed by James? Just in a sense that, I mean, when there was kids at my school who might have had their parent was a teacher, I always felt really sorry for them. Do you ever feel like that he's almost maybe too harsh to try and make a point that I'm not just being nice because he's my brother?
No, I know what you mean. I mean, no, he's the happiest he is when he's directing, and so I actually really love being around him in that capacity. He's a really great actor's director in the sense that he puts a lot of time into casting, and then once he feels like he casts the right people for each role, he's very hands off, and he wants you to bring your own thing to the part. And he just has a really fun, infectious energy on set when he is directing, and so we got along great. And
you can say anything to your brother as well, and it's not going to ruin the relationship, which is helpful.
Totally.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely, man. Good questions.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey